Hi, shifting is important. We are living in a moment in time where you will be feeling quite emotionally up in the air. You are going to be feeling as if you previously, let's just say, you could keep a cap on your emotional dis-ease, and at the moment you may find that you can't. Like everything is like there's an eruption of these emotions, and try as you might, you may find that you are really struggling to keep a lid on things. The reality is that many people are awakening. Awakening is kind of seeing something that you didn't see before, that allows you to understand life almost from a new level, a new vantage point. Let's just say you are standing right up against the canvas of life, and with an awakening, you get to take a few steps away from the canvas. And so as opposed to just staring into, let's just say, dark blue, which was maybe like a part of the ocean on the canvas, you suddenly see, oh, it's the ocean, because you see that there's an horizon, and you maybe see some birds and mountains, and maybe you see it in relation to the shore or something else. And an awakening is like taking a step back away from the canvas so that you see with a greater perspective. And once you see, you can't unsee. But this process can feel very daunting and hard, because when you see more, it kind of forces you to question what you held fast as truth for a long time in your life. And so for as much as an awakening is something that sounds, I think, at some level, like some beautiful transcendental experience, it's actually a very hard process. I mean, through the process of awakening, you'll find that you go through what people call a dark night of the soul. Many of them, because you have many awakenings, you also have many of these dark nights of the soul. It's part of the process where you just dip into, like, it just feels like depression. It's like everything feels as if it's going wrong. You just crave for a day where you can just not feel like you want to cry all the time. And you just may have many days like that where you just want to just feel as if the cry is just sitting right here. It wants to just pour out of you. And my suggestion to you is to allow those feelings to be seen. The energy is extremely graceful. Jupiter is doing something, and when Jupiter is in play, the energy is graceful. But this means that this awakening that's happening, it's because it's happening to the planet. We are going along for the ride, so this is happening kind of to us as well. But Jupiter is in play, which means it's like you can now deal with it. When you get given grace, you get given this opportunity to move through things. That's my experience, that you get such great difficulty moving through before, and suddenly it will feel easier. However, sometimes this process feels so daunting and overwhelming that as opposed to tackling it, you just ignore it. You make as if it's not really there. This gnawing at your energy that tells you that there's more, that tells you that surely this isn't it. Because when you're in that kind of state of mind, you feel as if you're in a negative state of mind, not appreciating what you currently have. But it's not that. It's that what we currently have or have had is not equal to joy and happiness and love. And we know that. We all know it. We know that this thing that we've worked towards for so many years, if you're in your late 30s and onward, right, you kind of going, is this what I worked so hard for all this time? Did I work for this? What's the point? And you really should be asking that question. You should be asking those questions. It is time that we start asking those questions. What was the point? And I understand that for some people, you're still going to go, it's for the purpose of, and you're going to try and explain it in a way that makes sense. But when you look at the world right now, and you look at how much whatever's happened up until the very recent past is simply just not working anymore. It's just not working anymore. Try as you might. I'm liking that phrase at the moment. You just can't get the thing to work anymore, And these things happen over a course of years, these awakenings and shifts. This isn't like a once and done ever, right? It's into infinity. You get to, I'm saying into infinity, maybe that's too long a stretch of time. It's for as long as you are. That's soul growth. And we are in a moment as human beings on planet Earth right now where we are witnessing this shift in consciousness. And it's for everybody. You need to be participating in this process. It is important that you do. You're kind of going to want to. Because once you get onto the path of healing, it changes the game completely. Once you see that it's all spiritual, literally, it's like you open up another level of life. And you don't know. So that's the difference here. You don't know tomorrow. because anything can happen, because you're so open to miracles. Anything can happen. And so, unlike previously, when you're kind of in this Groundhog Day kind of existence, this other world feels a lot less predictable, but you are closer to God because you are in a more surrendered state. And you start building the muscle of living in a state of surrender. How does that sound? And it's healing, and it's growth, and it's beautiful, but it's a hard process actually. And sometimes you just may feel like it's all getting too much for you. Don't give up. Do not give up. There's no giving up. Don't do that. We stay the course. You are not alone. Reach out. I'm telling you something. If you are feeling some kind of way, you are not alone. There's a lot of us who feel like that. And there's so much learning that you can do to help yourself along this journey. You're not alone, and you definitely are not losing your mind. Let me say that as well, because I think sometimes through this process, you could feel like you're losing your mind. And then you don't want to say to somebody else, I'm feeling like this, because you're thinking that you're alone. And if you're going to say whatever you're feeling to somebody else, they're going to think you're insane. And so you don't say it. If you're feeling like there's a lot going on in your energetics, you can't even necessarily pinpoint it as such. It's what you're feeling. Acknowledge what you are feeling. Stop suppressing what you're feeling. Acknowledge what you are feeling. Talk about it. Find ways to process what you are feeling. It's extremely important that you do, because if you look at the world that we are living in at the moment and you see how hard it is to actually tell what's real and what's not real. If you look at stuff digitally, you don't know. But it's bigger than that. Meeting people. You don't know people. You only know what they are choosing to show you, right? And you can get into big trouble this way. More it's becoming like this, I keep realizing like everybody's flipping toxic. I mean, you know what? I understand that people are healing, but people are so broken and so sore that people are really hurting other people intentionally in certain instances because they are so hurt. And like as a shock and horror, I'm just like, I didn't realize that this thing was going to end like this. How did this happen? Because this person has become so different to the person that I thought I was engaging with. And it is important that we start understanding and believing the energy. We need to start believing the energy. It's so important that we do this. How do you believe the energy? You know, because it's you. You are the energy. You're feeling everything all the time. But we oftentimes are not honoring our intuition. We have to honor our intuition. But it's an exercise and it's a practice, like with everything else. But there are ways to level up. Paying attention to your feelings is ultimate, because it's the way you start playing with the energy through your own feelings. You don't need an outside thing. These things, the answers lie within yourself. And so if you go and do some self-discovery, you start finding a whole host of ways to make God more real in your life. It's an exciting place to be. And it's an exciting time to be here. And so if you are in it and you're feeling all kinds of weirdnesses and you can't explain it and you think you're going insane, you are in it. You are awakening. I will say it like that. You are awakening. And it's a beautiful thing. Grueling, but it's beautiful. And there's help out there. It's part of the work that I do. And so if you are going through an awakening and you are struggling, or you think you are and you're struggling, and life just feels very difficult, let me add this. Life may feel difficult, and you may feel as if you're just repeating the same difficulties over and over again. This means that you're in a pattern, a pattern that is not serving you at all. And doing work to get out of stuff like that, it's part of like what the coaching process is, to start identifying our patterns and then to bring awareness to these patterns, because you can't really change anything if you're not in awareness of its existence. And so awareness becomes important all the time in all things. Self-awareness, self-awareness, self-awareness. Awareness in general, being in the present moment, the power of now, mindfulness, those things are so ultimately important. There's a whole host of ways in which we can be shifting. And once you start working, you may find that it becomes overwhelming. Like, what do I do now? What do I do next? Where to from here? Stay curious. If I can give you a piece of advice, stay curious. And then reach out for help. Don't do it alone. You don't have to do it alone. People have gone before you. You are not the first person experiencing this. You don't have to go it alone. There are countless resources. People have been awakening for millennia. Millennia. It has to be millennia. Thousands of years. Yes. The Buddha, 5,000 years ago. Jesus. Awakened beings that walk the face of the earth. And Jesus came and Jesus fundamentally said, you can do it too. You can realize what you are. And you can fight this at some level. But this is the truth. And so, yeah, I invite you to start participating more actively in your own life. I know I've made this call before, but really truly do it. Start participating more actively in your own life. Do not be living somebody else's story. You have to be living your own story. And it's all part of the same thing. Once you start the healing journey, you start going, oh my goodness, and this, and this. And it's all part of the same spiritual lesson. To wake up to realize that it was all spiritual all along. I was just like, oh my word. Because I realized this in 2021. I realized this for the first time. And I'm just like, oh my word, there's more. There's so much more than what we've been led to believe. And I'm going to come here and I'm going to share, because I think it's important that we understand that we're not alone. And even if you're not yet ready to talk about it, hopefully hearing somebody else talk about it helps you to come to the fore, because you will find that you can't nothing in the world makes sense anymore. Once you realize that once this thing starts calling you, it's a calling, it's God. It's going, come. Love is the only way. And now how are you going to make it happen? Because now when you try to love, you start realizing, gosh, loving is difficult because people are so hurt. Loving properly is actually so hard. And then you kind of go, okay, so then what now? And then you start problem solving. It's like you have to, because you realize love is the only way. But I can't just love because there's so much hurt in the world. Now what? And then the healing journey begins in earnest. It is beautiful stuff. It really, truly is. Okay, I'm going to say goodbye. I'm sending so much love.